We are delighted now to be joined by our old friend, Charlie Kirk, founder and CEO of Turning Point USA. Charlie, Cracker Barrel cracked. Your reaction to this breaking news?
Yes, they have. I'll tell you what, President Trump, he runs both the Democrat Party because basically everything the Democrat Party says is just against Trump. So he gets to determine the entire agenda of the Democrat Party. And now he runs Cracker Barrel, all from the Oval Office, just on Truth Social. I'll tell you what, it's an amazing test case to show the similarities between the two, because both the Democrat Party and their attempted rebrand and Cracker Barrel, it shows that when you market test in Brooklyn, you lose in Birmingham, Alabama. When you try to just always pander towards a small subset of elite opinion, of out-of-touch actors, and then you have contempt and bitterness for the very country that you either wish that they want to buy your products from or to vote from you. So there is this very interesting connective tissue here, and it's not worth overthinking. By the way, you look at the ridiculous logo that Cracker Barrel thought was a good idea. Those are the same people that thought that a bunch of people in Pennsylvania were going to come out in a lot of numbers for Kamala Harris. Like, oh yeah, which they're going to be super excited for it. That the big takeaway here, though, and I think this is important, is that the middle part of the country, they do not want to see their traditions and their customs and the things that they have come to love and appreciate taken from them. The Democrat Party has done that. So much of Trump's base are former Democrats, and they became Trumplicans, if you will, Trump Republicans, because of the working class basis. The same thing with Cracker Barrel. And the reason why they saw such a huge response is they said, no, not again. You're not going to take yet another institution, yet another restaurant, or Uncle Herschel from us. We've had enough stolen from us. That's why we love Trump, and we want Cracker Barrel the way it should be.
But, look, we don't know the exact rationale that went into this rebrand of Cracker Barrel, but it seems pretty obvious, right? I mean, I don't know if Starbucks' point on this is right, who pointed to that one DEI member of the board, but certainly his background would tell us that there was something going on here with the multicultural push. But in the process, they offended a lot of people. And just like the Democrats are doing, Charlie, on the issue of crime. You saw that African-American woman saying basically she would welcome what Trump's doing in Chicago. But they don't care. They don't care what regular people want. They simply are ignoring it.
No, and they're so disconnected from the regular body politic. And I love what President Trump is doing, by the way, with crime in Washington, D.C. I think this needs to be a template for the rest of the country. As someone who grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, I can tell you Chicago desperately needs it right now, and especially other cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles. I think we need to now say we're not going to put up with crime anymore. And that is a quality of life issue that impacts every single American. And I'm telling you, there's something very real happening in the black community. They're talking, they're listening, and they're seeing that they have safer streets, they have better ways to school, and their quality of life has tangibly improved. President Donald Trump deals in reality while the Democrats are too worried about abstractions and living in the clouds. Charlie,
did you also notice, and have you noticed, that President Trump just seems a lot happier this time around, right? He's run through the gauntlet, gone through so much, but he's truly enjoying this job. They didn't let him enjoy it last time around, but and it's kind of infectious. It's fun. I mean, I took him to task on the 600,000 Chinese students issue last night, and I'm still maintaining my position on that, come hell or high water. But look at how much fun he's having, and magnanimous he is as well.
I completely agree. I was going to mention that. For 3 hours straight, you just kind of saw the master at work. And I think there was some point of it where the president looked around his all-star team and his roster of patriots and said, boy, this is a lot different than it was. Half that room in Trump 1.0 either secretly hated Donald Trump, wanted some sort of 25th Amendment push, was actively working with the deep state against him back in Trump 1.0. And either that or they weren't even good at their job. And now he has this cast of all-stars. I loved listening to it. I learned a lot. Hearing kind of the status report, what you saw, what the American people saw for 3 hours on full display, the cameras were allowed in the board of directors meeting of the U.S. government. government. We were allowed in the room. That's why they hate Donald Trump, because he brings the American people, and we had a seat at the table. Usually that stuff happens in the shadows or behind the scenes. You got a 3-hour, uninterrupted, unedited window into how our government is running and operating, and I totally agree. President Trump is running a masterclass. He looks light, happy, and joyful. The Democrats are hall monitoring scolds, and that's why our party has gained 4 million net new voters since 2020. Our party is as hot as a pistol, as President Trump would say.
Charlie, a friend of mine at UVA who's a freshman said the Turning Point USA group on campus is on fire, and he's joining. And I'll tell you who it is later. But anyway, good job on that, because that continues to explode. Charlie Kirk, as always, thank you so much.
Welcome home, Uncle Herschel. Responding to a week-long barrage of complaints from its loyal customers, Cracker Barrel announced late Tuesday it was scrapping the restaurant's rebranding campaign and returning to its classic logo. "We thank our guests for sharing their voices and love for Cracker Barrel," the company posted on X. "We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our old timer will remain." Critics immediately pounced on social media, suggesting the company was caving to right-wing pressure, including a call earlier in the day from former President Donald Trump, who encouraged the company to reverse course before it was too late. Cracker Barrel should go back to the old logo, admit a mistake based on customer response, the ultimate poll, and manage the company better than ever before, Trump urged early Tuesday. They got $1 billion worth of free publicity if they play their cards right. Very tricky to do, but a great opportunity. Have a major news conference today. Make Cracker Barrel a winner again. Trump then acknowledged the company's mea culpa Tuesday night. "Congratulations, Cracker Barrel, on changing your logo back to what it was. All of your fans very much appreciate it," Trump wrote. "Good luck in the future. Make lots of money and, most importantly, make your customers happy again." Attributing the company's decision to Trump's remarks about the logo misses the larger concern. Returning Uncle Herschel to his chair beside the barrel is a start, but if that's where the company retreat ends, Cracker Barrel will continue to sell fewer biscuits, fried chicken, and Mama's pancakes in the years to come. Sadly, today's Cracker Barrel isn't your aunt or uncle's wholesome highway pit stop it once was. In recent years, Cracker Barrel has sponsored pride events, partnered with the Human Rights Campaign to fan and normalize pronoun nonsense and sexual confusion, and warmly embraced corporate DEI efforts. In the process, its stock price has dropped from a high of $147.91 in 2021 to the mid-50s today. Corporate rebranding and cultural firestorms often flow from internal ideological ignorance and progressive arrogance to outside firms obsessed with forcing their distorted and often woke worldview on everyone else. Reports now suggest Cracker Barrel dismissed or ignored earlier warnings from investors. Sardar Biglari, one such entrepreneur, called the entire rebranding exercise obvious folly. How did Cracker Barrel manage to go off its rocker? If this story sounds familiar, it's because we've seen it before. From Coca-Cola's New Coke fiasco in the 1980s to Bud Light's tone-deaf campaign celebrating Dylan Mulvaney, there's precedent for corporations committing unforced errors. It took decades for Bud Light to cultivate its brand and just 32 hours to destroy it. While the company says the man in the logo is a composite, Uncle Herschel was a real man and a real uncle of Danny Evans, the company's founder. Cracker Barrel even calls him the soul of Cracker Barrel. He was a salesman who frequented general stores all over the South and was known to sit a spell and visit with customers. At company headquarters in Lebanon, Tennessee, there's even a statue of him standing beside an empty bench as if to invite you to sit and converse. I think Herschel, who died in 1998, would have some thoughts about what's been going on. When Coca-Cola was fielding complaints after rolling out its new formula in 1985, company president Don Coe decided to take some of the protest calls himself. One was from an elderly woman. She was crying. "I said, 'Honey, what's the matter?' he recalled. She said, 'You're taking away Coca-Cola. You're playing around with my youth.'" The late David Ogilvy, nicknamed the father of advertising, knew well the lure and idiocy of trying to fix something that isn't broken. "It takes uncommon guts to stick to one style in the face of all the pressures to come up with something new every 6 months," he warned. "It is tragically easy to be stampeded into change." Cracker Barrel underestimated the emotional tug and power of its familiar logo. In a world of constant change, Herschel remained a constant. In an economy that seems to celebrate the hard-charging, the old man represents those who are comfortable and content. a reprieve from the chaos and noisy churn everywhere else. Company executives need to go beyond restoring the logo and acknowledge that Cracker Barrel was built on moral, common-sense values.
It takes away from our heritage. When you're 81 years old, you kind of remember the way the place started, and this is taken away from it. It's the old things that the country was founded on, the honesty, the truthfulness, your word meaning something, seems to be forgotten.
Not a big fan.
No, I think they should stick with tradition and the country marketing of going to get chicken and dumplings and biscuits, and to me that is Cracker Barrel old country style.
Yes, I think the original should stick and stay, because that's what people came for, was the original, and that kind of genre of it, like, it's awesome. They need to stay with the original.
Just like American Eagle, I went into American Eagle last week, me and my son, and bought clothes and jeans and everything else. And unfortunately, fortunately, I guess, for different companies, when they decide to do their own marketing, it could backfire, just like this is happening. And I'm sure a lot more people will not go to Cracker Barrel if they make this decision.
Yeah, I think Cracker Barrel's fixing a Bud Light themselves, honestly.
There you go.
It's different, but I get it, trying to modernize to the new 2025 world. But it does do away with some of the old schoolness that everybody was used to going to them, and be able to find old school candy and different items while traveling, and it just seemed to have that old type of atmosphere.
I like the logo. It is what it is: hometown cooking, hometown environment, country living, country food. It's not my country food, but it's close. They're shooting a dead horse. I mean, I think that the logo is fine. Why are they reinventing the wheel?
I think it's different, than it has been, for sure. I think the old logo is kind of what I grew up with. I remember going on road trips and just stopping at that. And I actually went here a lot as a kid. I haven't been here recently, but it's definitely different than what I grew up with.
Oh, I'll rant and rave and cuss about it a little bit, but I'll probably still be back there eating.
They should politely pivot from politically correct corporate silliness and simply embrace the wholesome, sensible, and timeless standards that have driven the company's success: truth, fairness, kindness, respect, and good old-fashioned hospitality. The lesson here is simple. If you don't want your company to go broke, resist the urge to go woke. Cracker Barrel says it's listening, but time will tell who the company is listening to in the days to come.